Hello, Emily here from Homemade Emily Jane, and I am very excited to welcome you to week 1 of our Paradigm Quilt Sew Along. Thank you for joining. If you are one of the over 200 people that have already signed up, welcome. If you have not signed up yet, but you want to join in the fun, go ahead and sign up at the link in the description below. You'll also find a link there for my blog post that has all of the sew along information that you will need. So be sure to check that out and come on and join this sew along with us. As a special welcome bonus, when you sign up to join the sew along, you will receive a coupon code to your email for 20% off the purchase of your Paradigm Quilt Pattern. So be sure to open that email and get that coupon code. So now I'd love to get to know you all a little bit more, and I know over the past few weeks I've seen people sign up from all around the globe. I know we have some participants from Australia and Canada and even the UK and France and Italy, so I would love to hear where you are from. Please drop a comment below sharing your hometown and also a little bit about yourself. We would love to meet you. I'm here in Orlando, Florida, and I'm so excited to share this Paradigm quilt with you all around the world. Not only can we connect here on YouTube, but we are also connecting over on Instagram. So go ahead, if you don't have an Instagram account yet, go ahead and set one up. It's completely free. And I share lots of quilts on mine, so be sure to find me. My Instagram handle is @HomemadeEmilyJane. And throughout the sew along, we will be sharing our progress using hashtag ParadigmSAL. That stands for Paradigm Sew Along. And also, let's go ahead and use this opportunity to share about the sew along with your friends. It is not too late to sign up and join the fun. This week, we'll just be picking out our fabrics and getting the pattern. So be sure to tell your friends about it and have them jump in too. Before I dive into week 1, I want to share a little bit more about our sponsors and prizes throughout the sew along. To be entered to win a prize, you will need to be on Instagram and use the hashtag that I just mentioned. I'll be selecting the winners each week from the photos that I see under the hashtag. That is just the easiest way for me to keep track and make sure that everyone that participates each week gets entered to win the prize. So the winner for the first week is going to win a wool pressing mat from Project Wool Mats. My wool mat is an absolute lifesaver as I'm pressing. It's a 1/2 inch thick and super sturdy and amazing for getting nice flat crisp seams in half the time. The way the wool mat works is that when you bring your nice hot iron on it to press your pieces, the wool kind of reflects that heat back up into your pieces and therefore saves you a bunch of time with getting some really crisp seams. So be sure to share a photo of your progress this week and you'll be entered to win the wool pressing mat from Project Wool. We also have some other amazing sponsors throughout the sew along as well. I'll give them a little shout outs here and you'll also be sure to see them on Instagram as well. But some of our other sponsors are Stella Lighting, Riley Blake Designs, Brown Eyed Quilter, who does long arm quilting services, and our grand prize sponsor is AccuQuilt. So if you don't know, I am absolutely obsessed with AccuQuilt and I'm super thrilled to get to give one lucky winner their very own AccuQuilt cutting machine. So be sure to stick with me throughout the sew along and participate every week for your chance to win your very own AccuQuilt machine. I want to extend a very heartfelt thank you to all of our amazing sponsors. And now let's go ahead and dive in to share a little bit about week 1 for our Paradigm Quilt Sew Along. If you checked out the sew along schedule, then you will know that this week is all about making sure that you get the pattern and your fabrics. And I also want to remind you to go ahead and read through the entire pattern before we begin. So you could do that this week or next week, but just make sure that you've read through the whole pattern before we start cutting our fabrics. So you can get the pattern as a paper pattern like this one, or a PDF that will be emailed directly to you and then you can download it and print it out on your home machine or just access it digitally. Whether you choose the paper pattern or the PDF, you can get either one on my website, HomemadeEmilyJane.com, and I'll share a link to the pattern in the description below for you. I also have some really fun quilt kits that you can get directly from my shop as well. So I have 2 options for you. The first one is the Adventurer Paradigm Quilt Kit, and this is super fun. It's been super popular already. We're using a navy background, which is really wonderful because it hides dirt and it just really is so cozy. It doesn't stand out like a lot of bright whites, which is my typical go-to. So this is me branching out using navy for the very first time, and I'm excited that a lot of you are doing it as well. So we've got a navy background and then some really fun blues and greens for our other colors. And these are all solids, confetti cottons from Riley Blake Designs. Here's a photo of what the adventure quilt looks like when it's all finished. As you can tell, it's really beautiful and wonderful, and if you're looking for a gift for someone in your life, this might be the perfect one. Additionally, these are the fabrics I'll be using throughout the sew along, and this is what I'm calling the Seaside Bundle. We're using a really fun minty seafoamy green, and then some coral and peaches, and a little baby pink, and a darker blue. So this is the other collection, the other kit that I'll be offering. It's in my shop. Go ahead and place your order now and I'll get it in the mail to you as soon as possible. And you'll see the stock quantities are listed on my website. So it's first come, first serve. Make sure you get it before they're sold out. Both of the quilt kits that I have in my shop will also include a paper copy of the Paradigm Quilt Pattern. Now, of course, you don't have to get a quilt kit. This is a really great option for you to shop your stash as well. So let me show you the fabric requirements. As you'll see, we have 3 different sizes that you can make for your Paradigm quilt. Pillow, which is just a mini quilt, baby, or throw size. Both of the kits that I have are throw size, but you could make the baby size and just have a lot of fabric left over if you wanted to do that. One thing I really love about the baby size is that you can use fat quarters. So if you have background fabric and 4 fat quarters, you can make the baby size quilt. I made a couple different baby size Paradigm quilts while I was preparing to release the Paradigm pattern, and they are one of my favorite quilts to make, and they come together so easily, and I'm really excited to get to join you on this journey for whichever size quilt you're making. One question that I've gotten quite a bit leading up to the sew along is whether or not you can use AccuQuilt on your Paradigm quilt. Great question. The pillow size of the Paradigm pattern is able to be made using an AccuQuilt fabric cutting machine. If you already have the Paradigm pattern, you'll look for the sizes and shapes listed and translate them into your AccuQuilt cube. Alternatively, if you want to make a size other than the pillow size using your AccuQuilt, I would like to introduce you to the Sprightly Quilt Pattern. My Sprightly Quilt Pattern is AccuQuilt friendly and tells you everything you need to know about using AccuQuilt dies to make the same block in lots of different sizes of quilts. So be sure to check out the Sprightly pattern if you really want to make a baby size or a throw size, or even a twin or a queen size quilt using that same block as your Paradigm quilt, but using your AccuQuilt machine with lots of blocks. You can follow along the sew along using the Sprightly pattern, but you will have more sewing to do each week because while we're making the Paradigm, we might just make 1 or a smaller number of blocks, but for Sprightly, there's a lot more components to it. So it'll just take you a little bit more time each week, but you're welcome to do that, and I would really love if you would try that out. So back to the Paradigm Quilt Pattern, let's talk about using directional prints or just prints in general. The really fun thing about the Paradigm pattern is that you can show off some large scale prints using color 1 of the pattern. Color 1 is used for the center square and then some 4 squares on the corners. And that would be really great for that big focus print that you want to do, or a directional print. You can use directional prints for colors 1, 3, or 4 on the Paradigm pattern. I just would avoid color 2 because of how that one ends up playing out. But you can use prints on any of them and directional prints on most of them. So go ahead and shop your stash and find those really fun fabrics that you've been dying to use. If you're not quite sure yet which colors you want to use or which fabrics to pick out, I want to invite you to use my coloring page. So on my website, you'll find coloring pages for all of my patterns, and Paradigm is no exception. So head over to my website, I'll link it right here for you, and find the Paradigm download. It's completely free. Just download that to your device. What I like to do is take a screenshot of it, and then I use the Recolor app on my phone, and then I can play with fun colors. But if you would rather print it out and color it using crayons or colored pencils that match your fabric selections, that's totally fine too. So do whatever works for you, but I wanted to make sure that you knew that that coloring page was available for you to use. Now that we've covered the pattern and your fabrics, I do want to share just a couple helpful quilting tools that you might want. These are not entirely necessary. If you have the basic quilting supplies, then you're probably fine. But I know we all love to add notions to our collection, so I'll share with you some of my absolute favorites and some that would come in really handy for making the Paradigm quilt. First off, if you are making the throw size, the blocks are rather large. So I recommend using a large cutting mat and a large quilting ruler. So my cutting mat is about 36 inches long. So if you have one similar in size, that would be perfect. I also really recommend a large quilting ruler. Mine is 8.5 inches by 24 inches. If you're making the pillow size, I really recommend AccuQuilt, of course, or using the wing clipper ruler by Deb Tucker. I'll put a link for that in the description below. It is my favorite Flying Geese ruler, so be sure to check that out for this pattern or for many others, because Flying Geese are everywhere, and I use that ruler all the time if I'm not using my AccuQuilt. And the last tool or notion that you absolutely should have for this quilt is Best Press or your favorite starch. So I buy Best Press by the gallon, and then I fill up a spray bottle with it and I use it on every quilt. So if you've never tried Best Press, I would recommend trying it out. It's my personal favorite, but of course there are other starch alternatives out there. So find the one that you love and works best for you. I'll be using Best Press throughout this quilt pattern. So I think that wraps up everything that you need to know to get started on week 1 of the sew along. Be sure to drop a comment below and introduce yourself. We'd love to meet you. And I cannot wait to get started cutting out our fabrics next week. If you have any questions, be sure to ask those in a comment below and I'll be happy to answer. I'll see you back here next week to kick off week 2 of the sew along.